Hello and welcome to my updated video on Fiverr. So this is a stock analysis on Fiverr, why I personally am investing in Fiverr and why I think it's going to be such a great return for myself and other investors. Now, when I analyse a stock, there's a huge number of things that I look at, and I've tried to really kind of explain as much of that as I can in this video. I've also got a page on my website that is pretty much the script of what's being said here, along with various different pictures, all of which I think should end up being in this video here. So it should all be as clear as possible, but if you're having trouble following this video, you can also have a look at the page, and the link will be in the description below. So here we go. So one of the first things I look at normally is the management team. It's very, very important. The management team is really the single most important part of the business, because if you've got a bad management team, the business will be performing badly, or it will perform badly. Whereas a great, innovative and forward-looking management team have all of the skills required to take the business forward. So as long as the rest of the business is sound and you have a great management team, you've got the right success formula. If you have an amazing business but with a bad management team, that's when you're going to fail. Okay, so always make sure to look at your management team. Now, the management team of Fiverr, we have the two co-founders, and I'm sorry for the pronunciation of these names if I have butchered them, but we have Micah Kaufman and Shai Wininger, and they are both still on the board. Now this is a huge plus, as it means that those people who had the drive to create this business and to fight all the way through all those hard times, they're still fighting strong within the business. And this passion for the business is a vital part of a growing company like Fiverr. And in February, Ofer Katz was promoted to President and CFO. Now, Ofer has been with Fiverr since the early days of the company, and he's got an extensive background as a CFO. The board as a whole has been with the company for a significant amount of time, either in their current positions or they've been promoted as the company has grown. Now, this provides a lot of stability for the company and is working well as the company grows. The only potential issue is the lack of fresh perspective or potentially larger corporate experience. And this could mean that Fiverr as a company could become cumbersome. Now, what that kind of means is effectively either where they've not got fresh ideas coming in and new fresh blood, they can't kind of come back with, during my time in this company, I did XYZ to fix this kind of new problem that Fiverr has never had because it's never been this big. Or, as Fiverr gets too big, if it's not being properly designed from the ground up for that kind of big size, it can mean that when it ends up becoming this giant company, that the structure within the business is too there's too many kind of different elements because of the fact that it's all being created ad hoc as the business grew. Now, I'm not saying that is the case with Fiverr. What I'm saying is this is the potential issue that you can have with a company like Fiverr. They've started from virtually nothing and they've kind of grown their way up, and when you kind of get to that big corporate level, that's when you often find startup companies will then start replacing the founders with people with this big corporate experience for this particular reason. Now, to an extent that they've kind of done that when we've put in Ofer Katz in, because of the fact that he does have quite a lot of experience outside of Fiverr as well. So going forward, hopefully that shouldn't be a problem, but it's definitely something we do need to keep an eye out for. So what we really kind of need is, as the company is transitioning from the growth company to a large corporation, we need to watch this management team and ensure that they are bringing in the right talent for this transition. And we need to watch to make sure that the business does not start to stagnate due to that lack of fresh blood. Now, while this absolutely does not appear to be an issue with either of those points at this stage, it can happen, and it's something that we just need, as an investor, you need to be aware of. There's kind of two main moats for Fiverr as a company. Now, firstly, moat as such is the strong brand establishment. Now, Fiverr has created a moat for the business by being the go-to business for freelance services for SMEs. So if you look on YouTube or Facebook or any other place online trying to find ways to grow your business, 9 times out of 10, Fiverr is the name that comes up. The brand is so strong for Fiverr that a lot of other companies that exist, and there are quite a few, are relatively unheard of. This strong online presence makes it very, very hard for new companies to enter the market. And then the other moat that Fiverr has is the really strong barriers of entry. So new companies in a third-party environment have to have this, they've got this whole chicken and egg situation. You know, they've got sellers being the chicken and buyers being the egg. And to get the sellers, you have to get the buyers. But buyers cannot buy if you don't have the sellers. So you almost need an established platform just to get started, making it almost impossible to start a business in this area. Now, freelancers are not going to take hours needed to set up a profile and monitor it on a website that is new and has very few customers. Those customers are not going to stick around because they don't have any choice, whereas when they go onto Fiverr, they do, so they'll just move to Fiverr. So this is why you have that kind of chicken and egg situation for the new businesses, and why it's almost impossible for them to start up, which obviously then provides this strong moat for Fiverr. So that's the moat area covered. Then for me, another kind of element is that they need to have more than one revenue stream. And Fiverr, outside of its main core business, of simply kind of like taking commission for each sale. Now, a lot of this is kind of built into the main platform itself, and in some respects you could say these aren't really additional like revenue streams, they're more kind of like added bonuses as such. But let's just kind of talk through them. So first of all, you've got Fiverr Learn, which is kind of like a Udemy type thing, but it's with a focus on its existing infrastructure within the company. So, for example, if you're a freelancer who works with, say, Adobe Photoshop, you can also add videos to Fiverr Learn for people who are able to do the work for themselves. And this works on like multiple levels. So, firstly, someone looking to do it for themselves wouldn't have hired the freelancer. So instead, what they're going to do is pay that person to teach them. Now, when you want to do something yourself, often that's kind of what you'll do is you'll look online and you'll find a video on how to do it, and you'll try and do it yourself, and then you'll get stuck and you won't be able to do it. So then you're like, oh, now I need to find someone to do it. And when you kind of get into that situation, the person that you're most likely to go, can you do this for me, is the person who you've just watched their video to teach you how to do it. Or to the stage where if they've taught you how to do these basic things, you may well kind of get these basic bits done, but go, actually, there's this one harder thing that I can't figure out how to do. So who's the best person for me to ask to do it? Well, it'll be the person who's taught me the easy stuff. Now, obviously, a lot of this content is on YouTube or Udemy or all these other platforms. So me as a kind of buyer who kind of like learns himself would be able to do that, but would do it on Google or would do it on Udemy and then pay those designers. So obviously this is then kind of bringing in those extra customers into Fiverr who are then going to stay within Fiverr to use those services. Now, I don't really expect this to be a huge revenue stream for Fiverr, but it could absolutely grow and easily become a business in its own right. Another revenue stream they have is Andco, and this is a subscription service that I mean, Fiverr bought them, and it just allows Fiverr to quickly and easily manage the business side of freelancing. So it's like sending your contracts, payment requests, and it's a nice little extra that helps sellers save time, meaning that they can do more jobs and pay more commission to Fiverr. So it kind of works as a double whammy. You know, they pay Fiverr for this subscription service, and they also are able to do more work, so they can give Fiverr more commission as well. So win-win there. The next one they have is promoted gigs, which is kind of like a Google Ads. It's basically just an extra way for sellers to promote themselves on the platform and just give more of their income to Fiverr. It's not really revolutionary, but most kind of platforms like this, whether you're selling your services or you're selling a product, they kind of have this. So it's kind of like an extra little bit of money for Fiverr, really. And then the fourth one they've got, which in my opinion is probably the strongest business, is called ClearVoice. Now, Fiverr doesn't report their income breakdown, so it's not really clear how well this business is doing. But we do know that content creation is a very big part of Fiverr's business, and as ClearVoice is a customer-facing portal for medium and large businesses to help them manage and get that content created, it's a great tool for helping Fiverr to expand into the larger business market that is currently dominated by Upwork. Now, there's also a chance, again, like I say, because we don't really see how this stuff is kind of broken down, Fiverr kind of like has this giant pie chart with a like little kind of section cut out that says, you know, all of these four extra things make up this tiny little chunk. Whether that's necessarily the ClearVoice income is coming as just the subscription or kind of payments within that, because ClearVoice itself kind of links into Fiverr and pays the freelancers on Fiverr. So I don't know how much of the money that's kind of going in to pay the freelancers is being considered as ClearVoice revenue, or whether it's kind of part of its ClearVoice revenue and part of its Fiverr revenue. But with the fact that ClearVoice is kind of aiming far more at that larger business market, hopefully if they're able to take more of the kind of market share from Upwork, that will be a huge boost for the Fiverr network as such. So next, something that I look at is the growth potential, and Fiverr has considerable growth potential. Now, even if you don't factor in the fact that we're becoming an increasingly global community, now the freelance market, as it is at the moment, only a very small percentage is actually completed online. Now, the world is moving online, so ignoring all other factors, this market share is going to increase. Now, the global pandemic has also helped employers realise the benefits of not having an office full of staff, along with the benefits of home working. Now, the productivity that many companies have seen boosted from allowing staff to work from home, as well as the reduction in costs, for me indicates that businesses are going to start to see far more benefits from freelancers. Now, think of it this way. A graphics team for a major retailer like Tesco's, for example, currently they're going to have a team of designers that will have a project manager organising their tasks. Things will be prioritised, with the most important tasks being done quickly, and less important tasks being done at less busy times. Now, this keeps the team busy most of the time. But wouldn't it be better for the business if all tasks were done when they were needed, and they just didn't have to pay staff when they didn't need them? Now, yes, there would be a slight premium for freelance workers, but when you factor in your annual leave, your sick pay, your pension, your training, your hiring, and all those extra kind of costs, there's a lot of extra hidden costs of having staff. And I would be really, really surprised if it was not A, far more efficient way for the company in simple wages versus hours of work. And B, better for the staff who can now manage their own workload in their own time and freelance for other companies when they have more time. C, more effective for the rest of the business who then don't have to wait in line if their task is deemed lower priority. And D, better cost management for tasks, i.e. if you think of the cost of the work of this business rather than just, well, we've got someone who does that, it means that some tasks may be deemed too expensive when they probably would have been undertaken because the team would have just gone, well, we've got designers and they're not doing anything now anyway, so, let's just give them this task to do. And they don't necessarily kind of realise, well, actually, that kind of task has cost the business, this many hundreds of thousands of pounds because of all the work that's actually taken us. Now, adding to all of this is the fact that as your staff are now able to remotely work far easier, they also don't need to be local. So it'd be much easier to hire the right person for the task as you're not being constrained by local talent, which in turn lowers costs again as your hire doesn't need to live somewhere with higher living expenses. So if you're in London, for example, you can hire someone who's living in the valleys in Wales because they're not going to need that same level of income as someone in central London. Therefore, they're not going to need to charge you the same amount. Now, all of this is just looking at the market size and moving that market online. And you could argue that much of the market I have described will be more likely to move towards Upwork as they're more business focused. However, from what I've seen from the management team of Fiverr, I'm confident that the company will be making a great position to take that market share once they have the capacity. And I'll talk more about that in a little bit, because the business itself has some amazing growth potential that I will explain in more detail when I talk about the profits. But once the business has kind of maximised that investment, they will have far more funds and time to then be able to focus on the business to business services, and that will really make a huge difference in that market share. But they don't need to focus on that now because they've got more work than they can deal with at the moment. So then, taking a kind of overview of the company, I like to look at the mission statement to kind of understand where the business is, where it's going, and really the kind of business ethos, really, because when you look at the mission statement, that's kind of where it comes from. And Fiverr's mission statement is, our mission is to change how the world works together. We started with the simple idea that people should be able to buy and sell digital services in the same fashion as physical goods on an e-commerce platform. Now, this simple statement is something that is so great about this company. In part, this creates a whimsical view of how Fiverr is trying to change the world for the better. It keeps the direction of the company in a very open, meaning it can adapt to the changing global environment, while also giving a very clear goal of what it is they're trying to achieve. Now, this brings into the direction of the company, and Fiverr is building out in many directions within its core business, because it's pushing to its existing seller base by building new tools and innovating to maximise the revenue potential from its sellers. It's expanding internationally by providing the website in multiple languages to encourage international buyers. It's pushing out and building new tools and systems for business users to capture more business buyers and steal market share from Upwork. But mostly it's expanding its existing user base, reaching new customers and working on existing buyers to maximise the return from each one. So earlier I was talking about profits, and this is where I'll explain a little bit further in detail towards the bottom of towards the end of the profit section. Now, On paper, you could quite easily say, this company is not making any money. It cannot make a profit, no matter how much revenue it makes. In fact, the business, the more money it makes, the more money it loses. But that's on paper. And when you dig down into the business to understand where that money is going and why it isn't making any money, you'll realise why. Fiverr isn't making a loss because it has unmanageable costs. It doesn't need to make more money for it to cover its fixed costs. It's simply using any and all available funds to further grow the business. Firstly, when you look at the revenue from each cohort on Fiverr, it's incredibly surprising to see how stable that is. You've got customers are coming to Fiverr and staying. This is especially surprising when you consider that Fiverr is targeting and reaching the small business market, where huge percentages of these customers should fail. So normally you would be expecting these revenue numbers to start really big and rapidly reduce, but they're not. So Fiverr is spending money to bring a new customer, and that money is quickly being paid right away. And then each year, it's returning that same revenue again and again, year after year. So let's look at this next chart. Now what you can see from this chart is that for every $100 Fiverr spends on marketing, we can see that $100 is returned within that year. And then a further $100 is being returned year after year. As a business, you would be crazy not to put every available dollar you have into marketing when it's this effective. And this is why Fiverr has such incredible growth, while also making no money whatsoever, and why I am not concerned that it's not making money. Because when Fiverr starts to make profit on paper, this will mean that the business has so much extra cash that they cannot effectively spend it fast enough. So let's think about evaluation. Now, being a growth company, it's almost impossible to put a fair value on Fiverr. Any valuation will require a level of guesswork, factoring in when Fiverr will make an accounting profit, trying to predict if and when that growth will slow down. Now, that growth over the next 5 years is the most important part of working for the price for today. I strongly believe that Fiverr will continue with significant growth over the next 5 years and beyond. With this in mind, I believe that a share price of over $500 over the next 18 to 32 months under the current market conditions is probable. Now, I've come to this price through a number of different reasons. Firstly, it's my expected growth of the company, it's expected revenue growth, where I think the profits are going to end up being within that kind of time period, and it's also a case of how I think the company is going to grow over the next 10 years as well, where I think it's going to be over that longer period of time. Because when we're investing in a company, right now we're kind of looking over the next sort of 5 years, but we're also thinking what the share price will be in 5 years' time. And when we're thinking about what the share price will be in 5 years' time, we're then thinking about what the revenue is going to be in the next 10 years' time. Because the 10-year time revenue is what will impact the share price in 5 years' time. Again, under current market circumstances. So if the way that the market is currently pricing stock changes, then that's obviously where this price model could change. So although I'm saying at the moment this is my price target, the things that could impact that is a change in the market, if the market changes the way it's valuing companies, or a change to the business itself. So every time that Fiverr releases its earnings calls, or any of its competition release their earnings calls, that could impact the price expectation for Fiverr. So always be aware of all of these things when you're investing. and if I see any changes, I will try to keep you abreast of them. That's all. Thanks for watching. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not meant as an investment advice for you personally. This is just my thoughts on why I personally think that this is a great investment. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.